The biggest challenge we face when processing our feelings is our unwillingness to feel the intensity of our emotional states. Yet, that is the only way to release their grip on us. Part of the work of processing how we feel is to recognize our conditioning, but the hard work is to accept and hold space to look at our uncomfortable emotions. So, my first question for you is this: how would your life look like if you were taught to embrace all of your emotional states? If there were no good feelings, bad thoughts, or uncomfortable emotions in the first place? What if you saw anxiety, anger, sadness, jealousy, or loneliness as guides instead of negative states you struggle so much to avoid? How would you feel if you could effortlessly observe when you were getting triggered and could easily take a step back to open your emotional toolkit and choose how you want to meet the moment? To create your emotional toolkit is to recognize your default patterns and choose how you will respond in any given situation according to your personal truth. As we spoke about in the previous chapter on self-love, your personal truth is encoded in your emotional states. How you think or feel about things, what triggers you to react, what brings you joy, what are your needs and boundaries. Essentially, how do you bring your perspective to life? How do you experience yourself? If you're not good at feeling, you probably have a limited set of emotions that you can actually feel. This means that your toolkit is very small and you may struggle to get to a feeling state you have yet to experience. Like, if you don't remember how to feel deep joy and contentment, how could you tap into that feeling? How would you know what safety feels like if you've always felt unsafe? And if you distrust yourself, how can you tap into feelings of confidence? Whatever your case may be, you won't be able to tap into any new feeling, not initially at least. But you can tap into the closest feeling you know, and in time and with practice, you can expand your emotional spectrum and get better at feeling better. Now, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with this cube? This is called the Phantom Labyrinth Cube, and it's the closest thing I could find to describe how human emotions operate. The Phantom Cube is a labyrinth hidden inside a cube. The goal of this game is to release the ball on one end and bring it to the other side of the labyrinth. There's a caveat though. The ball disappears as soon as you release it, and you cannot open the cube to watch where it's going. To make matters worse, this cube contains a second ball hidden in a secret door called the Phantom. Now, I want you to think of this cube as a visual analogy of your emotional body, except instead of a labyrinth with one entry and one exit point, your emotional body is a complex maze with many entry points all leading to various exits. Each entry point represents a thought or collection of thoughts, and each exit point represents your behavior. In short, your emotional cube receives thoughts as inputs, and its goal is to produce behaviors as outputs. In the same way that the ball cannot be moved outside of the cube to reach its endpoint, you cannot make a connection between a thought and an action without moving it through your emotional body. Emotions are at the heart of our human experience, but we have no direct access to this guiding system. You can only access it through your senses, how you feel. It's like playing a game of hot and cold, but blindfolded, where you need to trust the instructions that you're getting to find what you're looking for. When it comes to how you feel, it's your thoughts that determine the path you take, the quality of the feelings you experience to get you to an outcome or take action. And this is great news because unlike emotions, both thoughts and behaviors are things you can control because they happen outside of the blind maze. You can still choose to deny, disown, bypass, suppress, repress, and ignore your emotions altogether. You can get really good at it, in fact. But at some point in your life, the consequences of trying to control or running away from feeling your feelings will catch up to you. And in that moment, know that you're being given the opportunity to explore alternative emotions and expand your emotional toolkit. Because the mind is just a projection technology that casts your emotional states onto your actions. So if you want a different outcome, if you want to respond differently, you need to evaluate the quality of your thoughts and how they move through your emotional guidance system. You want to learn to tune in more deliberately to how you feel and then challenge your perspective on the thoughts that evoke those feelings. You need to know what you want to feel and then explore how you can get there. And you can begin practicing this right now. For instance, you might not know what fulfillment feels like, but perhaps you can get closer to that feeling by recalling feelings of gratitude. And if feeling grateful is not familiar either, maybe calm or chill will resonate closer to you. No matter the case, practice is important because there's nothing bigger than the compound effect small changes have. And if you struggle with having the vocabulary to express your emotional states, then you can download our feelings meter for free. Changing how you relate to your emotional states is the first step to mental clarity and physical well-being. So in this chapter, we invite you to build intimacy with your most challenging emotional states by sharing a step-by-step guide to process each one of them in ways that support your conscious evolution and overall emotional health. We will describe what those feelings are, how they feel in our bodies, why we feel them, and what tools you can play with to power up your emotional toolkit. Our first stop is anxiety. But first, we're releasing a guided reflection you can use as a template to process your feelings gracefully and effectively. Getting to know yourself in this way does take patience and practice. So we recommend you to watch these videos on acceptance and compassion to get you in the right state of mind for the journey ahead. And in the meantime, have a good week.